right, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol, and it's Wednesday, and I almost forgot what day it is. It's Uninformed with David Boyle. So I was sitting on the couch thinking about what I was going to say tonight, and then it popped into my head. I started a new segment last week, Uninformed with David Boyle. This could be a keeper, this segment, because I really know nothing about a lot of subjects. Not only that, I know nothing and I have a lot of opinions about them too. And like anyone with opinions, I like to force them down people's throats. So basically, any topic I choose, I am going to be uninformed on it. And I can sure as fuck guarantee you, I'm not going to be researching it because I didn't even remember the segment existed until about 4 minutes ago. So this week on Uninformed with David Boyle, we're going to tackle the contentious topic of global warming. Is it real, or is it a nefarious plot by a cabal of evil scientists? So global warming, it's an issue very close to my heart because it seems to me that the people who are most afraid of it, who are most adamant global warming is an existential threat, are also the most fucking annoying people I know. So my natural instinct is just to immediately disagree with annoying people. I'm a contrarian, I suppose you would call me. But whenever I see someone getting all lathered up and sweaty over a topic they're passionate about, I normally like to dismiss it with something that will make them angrier. Like, fuck off, global warming doesn't exist. It's just the sun getting closer. My first problem with global warming is how they changed the name after about 2 years. It started off as global warming, now they call it climate change. Do you know why? Because whenever there was a cold day, someone would stand around and go, so much for fucking global warming. And that would be me, with the boys on site. We'd be freezing our nuts off in the middle of winter, and I'd be like, so much for global warming. And everyone would agree, and we'd all have a good laugh. So they had to change the name to climate change because of me and my types. But now they call it climate change, and it doesn't matter what the weather does, they can just go, yeah, see, we told ya. If it's a fucking cold day in summer, they're like, see, climate changing. Now every day is climate change. We're like, yeah, we know the climate changes. We know sometimes it's cloudy and sometimes it's not. My other problem was the ozone layer hoax. Remember that when you were a kid? They're like, there's a hole in the ozone layer. Like your dumb high school dropout parents were telling you about the ozone layer. And you're like, where is this hole? And they'd just point directly at the sun and you'd look at the sun and do permanent damage to your eyesight as a fucking 6-year-old. So they're like, we've got to close this hole in the ozone layer. How do we do it? Stop using deodorant, you smelly bastards. So we stopped using Rexona on our nut sacks for about 4 months and the ozone layer fucking healed itself. And everyone's like, yeah, sweet, we sorted the ozone layer out. I'm like, what the fuck did we do? Then you would look straight into the sun again looking for the fixed hole, do more permanent damage to your eye. Nothing seemed to have changed. I always thought the ozone layer was just a hoax by the sunscreen company to sell more bottles. The other thing is, I don't like it when every single scientist nerd in the entire world are in consensus about anything. Whether it be flat earth, whether it be global warming. When they all agree, I start getting suspicious. And I'm not reading any of their papers either. I will never, ever, ever read a scientific paper on climate change. I just will never do it. What a fucking snooze fest that will be. I bought Stephen Hawking's book, A Brief History of Time, when I was in Peru. I did some coke and started reading it and I fell asleep by fucking page 5. An absolute snorer that was. I couldn't even pretend that was good because he was disabled. So the only thing I'm ever going to base my beliefs on are like David Attenborough documentaries and empirical evidence. And all the documentaries are saying like the oceans are rising, they're heating up, Fiji's going to be underwater in like 5 years. It's like, yeah, Fiji deserves to be underwater. Who the fuck lives on a little island in the middle of the ocean? Are you insane? Of course Fiji is going to sink at some point. Have you looked at a map of the Earth from like fucking 100,000 years ago, 10 million years ago? Heaps of shit sinks. 1,000 Fijis have sunk. This Fiji can go too. Tonga, you're fucked as well. You're going to have enough time to get out before the sea takes over. So get out. Otherwise, just climb to the top of a coconut tree and wait it out. There's thousands of them. Just get up there. So those docos are always going on about the sea heating up. And then they go to the glaciers and like the polar ice caps and show footage of a big bit of ice falling off into the water. They're like, the polar ice caps are melting and they are receding at an alarming rate. It's like, fuck off. They're not receding. Do you know what happens when you put ice in water? The water cools down. Yeah. They're saying it's a disaster, but what those icebergs are really doing is cooling down the ocean. So don't bullshit me. What happens when you put some ice cubes into a glass of Coke? The Coke gets colder. Same thing happens when you put icebergs into the ocean. The ocean gets colder. If anything, we need more icebergs in the ocean. We need the whole polar ice caps in the ocean. That's the only way we're going to cool the water. And the empirical evidence, I see no empirical evidence at all for global warming. Like, I went to India, and yeah, during peak hour you can't breathe. And yeah, in Bangalore they chop down every single last tree, and the average temperature has gone up about 10 degrees. But it's gone from a mild 24 degrees to a fucking rockin' 34 degrees. All year round, 34. Fuck yeah. I just don't know how you can keep blaming humans for everything that's happening with the weather. It's not like we're disgusting, litter-creating morons who still wipe their ass with toilet paper and then pour industrial bleach down the bowl to keep it white. I was in a place in India, in Rajasthan. I forget what it's called, but one of the James Bond movies was filmed there. And it was just beautiful. The front lake was gorgeous. And then I went for a fucking walk around, and just behind some of the buildings on the front of this lake, there was another lake. But I didn't realize it was a lake until I stopped and had a good look at it, because it was completely filled with plastic bottles and plastic bags and shit. I'm like, fuck, that's a lake. I thought it was a tip. And then a little girl came up to me when I was standing staring at it in shock. And she's like, it's dirty, isn't it? And I was like, don't give me that global warming shit. Get in there, go for a swim. Man-made climate change, get in there, go for a paddle. Stop complaining. So how do I feel about climate change? I'm not entirely sure. All I know is it's not going to matter because we're going to be fucked a long time before climate change gets us. Maybe climate change will do the last and final cull. Alright, that is enough for me tonight. That was another installment of Uninformed with David Boyle. If you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe, rate, review on iTunes. Add me on social media, Boyle Comedy, on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And I will see you the fuck later.